Can one company deliver on a commitment to every person in Michigan? Count on it. Count on Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan to be there for our members and for everyone across Michigan. Every day, in every zip code, we're committed to our Michigan communities. At free clinics, offering help to those in need. At schools, teaching kids healthier habits. All over Michigan, we're making a difference because this is our home too. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Confidence comes with every card.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the final edition of Weekly with Wheatley here in the 2024 season. I'm your host, Brady Beedon, joined by head coach Tyrone Wheatley, fresh off a win over Roosevelt. Coach, I'll start with something simple. Just had to feel good, didn't it?
A win always feels good. Always feel good. They say wins cure all ills.
So let's talk a little bit about that win. What did you guys do right in the win over Roosevelt that maybe you came up short a little bit the last handful of weeks?
When we talked about every week, complimentary football, right? All three phases, we really played well. Unfortunately, the first kickoff return was called back, however, we still played well in all three phases.
The one thing that I like from your team is the start was not there. I mean, it went about, as a coach, probably everything you could say could have went wrong. Kickoff called back, 3 and out, kick. They drive down the field at 7-0. And at that point, I think at times this year, some teams might have gone, uh-oh, here we go again. You guys didn't. You score 38 of the next 45 points and really flex your muscle in the second half. And there were a few times in that fourth quarter where Roosevelt maybe had just a little bit of a chance to get back into it. And like that, you slammed the door on them and got out of there with a big win.
Well, we've been talking about it all year, right? One time we'll start first in the quarter, then second half we'll go slow. Next week it's different. But I think what happened is over the year, when you talk about them going up 7, we kind of said we've been in this position, don't panic, just relax and just play some football and capitalize, right? Just do your job and just play one play at a time. And I think that's what we did this weekend.
Who were some of the guys that stepped up? Because it's obviously easier in a win than a loss to have a gaggle of guys that were just standouts. Who did you think played a pretty darn good game last Saturday?
Well, I mean, you always want to talk about the individuals, but I think as a total group, I think they really played well. But to talk about the individuals, it was good having Champion back. He played really well. Miles had a big game. All three backs, Xavier Tyus, Marco, and Sterling had really big games. Then on defense, I mean, you talk about it. Jordan Ecker had a heck of a game. I mean, he had a pressure. He was coming off. He was putting pressure. Carl, who you're going to talk to tonight, had an interception. He played well, as he always plays. And then, some of our young guys. Katie Jefferson played really well. So it was a really good group effort.
Well, one thing that I think you guys did well, and some people might spin this as a negative or it's a slight, but I don't think so, where sometimes in a game you can let the other team make the mistakes. You say, all right, we're just going to step in and capitalize it. Hey, someone throws an interception right at you, put your hands up, you catch it, and you go take it for a touchdown. I thought that's what you did where Roosevelt spiraled at times, and you just kind of stepped in and said, all right, you're going to give us this opportunity. We're going to take advantage of it.
Well, it's not a slight because that's what happened to us. Mm-hmm. That's what teams did to us. Like I said before, there were a lot of games we lost. They didn't win, we lost. And exactly what you're talking about, we spiraled out, and teams just took advantage of it. And when you're playing steady football and you're playing football to win, right, and you're just doing what you're doing your job, it'll come to you. And that's what we did. We just continue to plug away, and when they made their mistakes, we capitalized on them.
Getting a win to snap a losing streak can feel like a weight off the shoulders, and I'm sure you've experienced it as a coach, as a player, at all levels. What does it do for the psyche and going into next week's practice? Just, hey, we got to win, and everyone's just got a little extra pep in their step.
Well, it's like anything in life, right? You're doing something over and over, the mundane, the monotonous of the daily grind, and at some point in time, you say it's going to click. It has to mean something. What I'm doing every day has to mean something. And when you get that win, it's like, okay, we've done this for a reason, and it's not going to waste. We're not doing this in vain. And once the young men see that and they feel that, then they really come in and they get their pep in the step, and they're getting ready to go.
Was that the message to the team after the game that, hey, guys, you've been working towards this? I know maybe it took a little longer than you'd hoped for to show up on the scoreboard, but we finally got this sealed. We got that first win. I'm happy for you guys because you guys have put in the work to do this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can feel the zeal in them, everybody. When they came in the next day, there were guys on the injury list. You thought they weren't going to practice, like, Coach, I'm practicing. And then not only on top of that, you're still talking about some young guys that are now saying, this off season. I'm saying, but wait a minute, we have one game to play. let's finish this game first. But you like the zest and the zeal of them thinking about the future and what they have to do now, because we always talked about the process, right? The little things to get the wins, not so much as about the win itself, but what does it take to get those wins? And they really saw it come to fruition last Saturday.
One notable event that happened in the game, Griffin Milovansky sets the all-time career field goal record. And I joked with you yesterday that it was celebration after celebration. He got past Coach Robinson, then he's going to some players, and then more players come up, then more coaches. What did it mean to see a kid like that who you've talked before as a kicker has been a leader, not just on special teams but for the team? What did it mean to see him set that record and to see everyone on the sidelines just be so genuinely happy for him?
Well, that tells you what type of person he is. When everyone can sit there and be genuinely happy for him, and just, first and foremost, to break a record in and of itself, it's a big ordeal. But just to tell you what type of person he is, to have everyone to just stop him and get after him and just say, hey, man, congratulations. But also, we talked about this a little bit earlier. We practice that in the win. We kick in the win. We put him back 40, 50 yards, and we give him all type of situations. So we give these kickers, we don't just say, oh, you're a kicker. We give them extra, situations, and we put them in those deals. We'll put 13 guys on the field and rush him, right, to see if we can block it. But when he broke the record, it just means a lot because you talk about a guy with all-time record. I mean, there's been some good kickers here and kick a lot of points. And so for him to just stand fast and do that, it meant a lot.
Yeah, it was cool seeing just the stream of players. It felt like everyone you were 3 plays into the next drive, and it felt like people were still coming up and giving him some love, and that was very well earned. And as a coach, that has to make you feel good that, hey, the team's still playing for each other, that I know the season, again, might not be the way you want it to, but the spirits can still be up, and they can still celebrate everyone, even if it's not their own accomplishment.
Well, we talk about culture all the time. And when you see that, and we talked about the difference between last year's team and this year's team, every week, even though the outcome wasn't what we wanted, but every week the guys come out and they fight and they're trying to get this thing together, which we talked about the little things in the process, which leads to the victory. And so it just feels real good to see these guys to continue to push for the little things and to strive to get better.
So with this being the last episode of Weekly with Wheatley, there's a few overarching questions I want to ask. We'll look for in the last segment, we'll look towards the game and kind of into the future after that. But looking at this season, where have you guys improved the most? And it's never a linear path. It's never a straight line. There's going to be some ebbs and flows, some ups and downs. Where are you guys at in Week 11? Was it where you were hoping to be? And where have you improved the most over the season?
Well, I think if you go back to our very first episode, you asked me, what the record would be, and I said we would just want to grow as a football team. We want to grow and build the culture and build the process. And I think right now, when you ask where are we right now, all the good things that are leading into going into the next year, like I say, you want the young men to have an awareness and an acceptance. And when I say acceptance, it's what is their shared responsibility? What are they accountable for? What do they need to do to help get this team and not let it lay all on the back of the coaches? And so like we talked about, the guys are now talking about when they go into the weight room, they're going to hold people accountable. From all the way down from what they're wearing to what the socks they have on to now guys are going to push people to lift more weight, not just being there just, pushing around and man around. But it goes all the way around. And so when you talk about where are we, it's all the little things that's going to build up to this one big thing, and it's building this culture. And I love where this team is at right now.
So last question before I let you go, enjoy your meal, and we'll talk to some other coaches and players. After the win, hey, it feels great. Sure, you have to remind them, hey, 24-hour rule, get back in. We got a pretty hungry Northern Michigan team coming to town for senior night.
Absolutely, because this is a hungry team and dangerous team, right? Like you said last week, we were the hunted, and we're the hunted again this week. And so now we're going to have to turn that mechanism around and feel like we're the hunters. They don't want to finish the season with a goose egg and over. But this is a dangerous team because this offense, they will hold the ball 30 minutes. They're going to put you in space. They're going to give you some and the special teams that they play is freaking incredible. I mean, they have, I think, like 4 or 5 blocked punts on the year. Number 83 is a dangerous returner. So this is a dangerous team.
Well, Coach, we'll get into more in depth with that later in the show. In the meantime, we'll talk to Coach Davis, talk to Carl Ware. Coach, go enjoy yourself while we continue on here with Weekly with Wheatley live from Woodbridge Pub. Moving ahead with Weekly with Wheatley live from Woodbridge Pub. Real quick, if you are looking for a cozy spot in Detroit with great vibes and even better food, come on down to Woodbridge Pub. We're located in the heart of historic Woodbridge neighborhood, known for their locally sourced and delicious menu craft cocktails. It's the perfect spot for a casual night out or weekend fun. Whether you're relaxing on the patio, enjoying live music, or catching up with friends, Woodbridge Pub is your go-to for a true Detroit experience. Make sure to drop by today and see what makes Woodbridge Pub a local favorite. We now welcome on linebackers Coach Glenn Davis. Coach, I appreciate you coming on to talk with us here in the final episode of Weekly with Wheatley. Okay. First question, I always like the coaches to kind of introduce themselves, give themselves a little bit of a backstory. Talk about where you're from and the journey you took to getting to Wayne State.
Well, I'm from St. Petersburg, Florida, right across the bridge from Tampa. Probably my second time here in Michigan. I did coach up in the UP for the guys we playing a couple years back, one season. So I'm familiar with Michigan, but my journey came through Tom Sims at D.C. We worked together back in the day at Youngstown State for a couple years, and then later on in life, we managed to work together again at Savannah State. So when Coach Wheatley was putting the staff together, got an invitation to come put something together.
So it sounds like you've been a pretty well-traveled coach all over the United States. I think that's one thing that sometimes people forget about with coaches on their journey. It's not just, hey, you bounce around in the same area, you go all over. What has that been like going from, like you said, Savannah, you've been up in the UP, you've been a little bit of everywhere. What's that been like bouncing around before finally, hopefully settling in here for a while?
Correct. Kind of a nomad, seeing mountains in Pittsburgh for 4 years. I even worked at IMG at Florida a while back. So, different climates, different environments, just adapting to my environments more wherever I go. But here in Detroit, it's been a good deal for me and my family. So it's been good.
What are some of the things that maybe are different that people don't realize between coaching in the South, coaching up here, coaching out in Pittsburgh? What are some of the different, maybe subtle differences, whether it's recruiting, whether it's getting a team together, that you've noticed throughout your journey?
It's just mostly how you put your math together as a staff. What you see in a kid, or what your standards are in recruiting. As far as day in, day out, what you're looking for in a player. So most staffs I've been on do a good job of evaluating. Most of the time it's about really like what is Pittsburgh about. I learned about pierogies, you know what I'm saying, when I stayed there. So that was my first time ever eating a pierogi. So it's just different cultures, you know what I'm saying, and environments that you have to adjust and adapt to. So that makes it enjoyable.
So Coach Wheatley talked about building a culture here in Detroit. What do you want the linebacker to be here in your locker room or in the linebacker room and with the kids that you're coaching? What do you want Wayne State linebackers to be known for when other teams in the GLIAC turn on the tape?
The biggest thing I'm looking for in anything is consistency. The toughness, the instinct, speed, but consistency probably is the most number one word, in any room on the football field. You being consistent with your eyes, consistent with your footwork, striking ability, getting off a block. So it all goes hand in hand, with consistency, I would say, how you just come to work and prepare yourself to be in a situation to make those plays. So the 5 P's still go a long way, even to the day.
So you've got some pretty strong linebackers in that room. We'll talk to one in a little bit, and Carl Ware. But talk to me a little bit about the guys that you're coaching this year and where they really excel, because I'm sure sometimes, hey, it makes your job easier as a coach when a guy just can go out there, run around, and make some plays.
Last year is a lot different from this year. Had a lot of older guys like Bushman and Drake, played a lot of football. Those guys made second team all-conference in the GLIAC. So they were a good group of kids that, already knew a lot of ball, So you really have to do a lot of teaching with them, just coaching. Here we probably ain't got a lot of guys that played a lot of football and a lot of snaps on the field. So it's more teaching, it's more talking and walking, and getting them to have an understanding of the play type, understanding of the footwork, and really, the physicality it takes day in, every Saturday, I should say, even in practice, to compete on Saturdays with some of these GLIAC teams.
So how much does it help, especially in year one, when you're trying to establish what you want it to be, that you have some older guys, and then the next year you get a few guys in that have been around the block, that they can teach some young guys in that room what they want to be, so maybe by the time they have to step up, whether they're redshirt, freshman, sophomore, whatever it may be, they're ready to go as soon as they get out on the field.
Yeah, I think it kind of trickled over this year with the guys being in the room from last year, understanding, just the standard in the room, what I expect and how I go about my approach to the game, with them. I'll give you a guy like Quincy Salter. Quincy was there last year doing some of the stuff that we asked him to do extra, and he probably was the number one guy, in terms of doing extra. And now he's been playing some significant ball for us, so when it was time for his turn, I think he's been doing a good job. He's been having success. He's out there competing. So, just stories like that, a year ago, probably wouldn't have thought that situation would have ever occurred. But come full circle, he's in the mix and getting after it.
So it's obviously always important. You want to be a driven position group, but how important is it to have a group of guys that also enjoy being around each other, being able to have a little bit of fun in the position group, outside of meetings, things like that? How much does team chemistry play into enjoying yourself a little more in the film room and in the locker room?
Oh, yeah, we're going to have fun in my meeting room. I'm going to make it enjoyable. I'm going to make it interesting. But you're going to get coached. You're going to get coached hard. But at the same time, the guys laugh. They laugh at me. I laugh at them. I may say something, to the left, and they have no clue what I'm talking about because I'm from the South and I'm a little bit older than them, but just understand it. Some days I stop the film and we look it up. We get on YouTube or get on Google and whatever we're talking about. So even a movie, So it's been things like that where trying to get them caught up to my speed. I think the movie was A Weekend at Bernie's. We had a guy sleep in the meeting, and I stopped the meeting and said, "Look at him." So the guy in the back of the boat, if you remember the Weekend at Bernie's movie, that's how he was looking with his head in my meeting sleep. So they didn't know who he was or the movie, the character. So we had to put it up on the screen.
Mentioned you're from Florida originally, St. Pete. What about Detroit did you know before you got here, and what were some things that you learned a little bit about the city in the 2 years you've been here?
I have family living in Novi, so I have been to Detroit a few times. But the city has been great to me. Bigger than I thought it was. Being from Florida, it's a lot to do here. Family-wise, it's a friendly town, and it's been enjoyable. It's a lot of stuff to do.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking some time out. Good luck on Saturday, and we'll be looking for those linebackers, make some big plays to hopefully send the Warriors into the offseason with a big win.
Me and you both.
We appreciate it. That's Coach Glenn Davis. I'm Brady Beedon. We'll welcome on Carl Ware in just a minute here on Weekly with Wheatley. We are now joined by Wayne State senior linebacker Carl Ware. And Carl, I want to start off with, you've had a pretty darn good final season of college ball. Start off with that. What's it been like? Because it's been a little bit up and down. You've been the GLIAC Player of the Week defensively twice. Well, I'll just ask it simply, what's gone right for you this year?
Really just trying to just accept the coaching and just try to listen to what they got to say. Don't just think I'm the only one that know everything, and try to actually try to get better every day. That's really the only thing, to be honest.
So we talked about this with your coach, about his journey here. Let's talk about your journey here, because it wasn't a straight line. It very rarely is nowadays. Talk about from basically when you got done with high school to how you ended up back here in Detroit.
Coming out of high school, I went to Rutherford Union. Then from Rutherford Union, I went to Madonna University, a small NAIA in Livonia. And I was the first recruiting class that came in there, and we kind of started that thing. And I played 2 years there, and after that, transferred and came to Wayne State.
So I guess for people that maybe are a little older that didn't have to go through the transfer portal, yours isn't too bad because you go from Livonia to Detroit. That's not a big change where you got some other guys like Caleb comes from Baltimore to Detroit. That's a big difference. Yeah. What's it like transferring because you're basically starting from ground zero in terms of relationships with coaches, understanding the scheme. What's that process like once you've decided to transfer and you step onto a new campus?
The process for me was really been kind of smooth sailing. I know some other people, they have harder times doing it, but I mean, the guys kind of just brought me in and made me one of their own. So the process wasn't too hard for me, I would say. But I mean, I kind of just appreciate them for accepting me, basically just accepting me as a transfer.
How much easier does that make it when the guys are so welcoming in the locker room? Because with when you come in as a freshman, you got 25, 30 other of you guys coming in, and it's kind of like you're all in this together. You're all in the same boat. As a transfer, you're kind of a lone wolf coming in from a different spot. So how much easier did it make it when you got in here and the guys were opening and you fit into the locker room fairly quickly?
It kind of just took some of the pressure off. So it's like, I mean, the guys they like me in the locker room. So I mean, I don't really have to really prove myself out on the field. I could just basically do what got me here, basically.
So let's talk about, now that you're senior, final game on Saturday. I always like to say that seniors, you can tell that their legacy is left years after they're gone. If the young guys, you mentor and you bring up, if you pass the lessons along that, have helped gotten you to where you're at, they can be successful, and you'll see shades of Carl Ware in 2026, 2027. What are some of the things that maybe when young guys are looking for advice or young guys are struggling that you try to let them know about? Maybe it's position specific. Maybe it's just about being a college athlete or growing up. What's something you like to tell the young guys in that locker room?
The biggest thing for me, something that I wish I would have knew when I was coming up was just take the coaching. It really kind of took me to this year to really just sit back and just like, okay, Carl, you know how to play football, but do you really? You have to take the coaching. So I really just try to reiterate that to them, just listen to the coaches. Like Coach Wheatley always say, give us your mind. I tell them to basically do that, and then they'll be fine.
Does it feel like it's your last game, or doesn't it feel like just yesterday, you're getting to campus for you at Madonna at the first time, and you were just getting your college journey ready?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
Does it feel like it's your last game coming up on Saturday?
Yeah, it do feel like it's my last game. Like I told you earlier, my body is beat up. So, I mean, I'm kind of ready to get into the off season and, just try to be prepared for what's next.
Well, let's talk about what's next. I know hopefully football can last as long as possible for you, but whenever it may be done, whenever you hang up the cleats, what do you want to get into? Do you want to stay in the sport? What was next for Carl Ware whenever football's done for you?
Well, for me, whenever football is done, it's kind of never going to be done. I'm going to go right into coaching. That's kind of really my passion to be a coach. So after football, I'm just going to go right into coaching.
So I'm assuming you're already trying to talk to some people, maybe get a few ideas. I don't know if you want a GA somewhere, going to the high school level. There's a lot of options out there, and I can tell you there are a lot of pretty successful coaches that started as players in the Wayne State locker room.
Yeah, I was thinking about going back to my high school, but, I'm here at Wayne State. I would love the opportunity to GA if the opportunity ever presented itself, but probably more high school or probably college level if I was given the opportunity.
So you're the type of guy, I'm assuming we're pretty similar, where football never really ends if you just take a different form with what you want to do in football.
Exactly, yeah.
So what are you studying at Wayne State, and what are you going to get your degree in when you graduate?
So I graduated last semester with my business degree in marketing and advertising. And right now I'm in my master's, my MBA, basically. It's in sports and entertainment.
That's awesome to hear, Carl. What's the message to everyone, your fellow seniors? You're going out on the field for the final time because you never know what tomorrow brings. You're guaranteed Saturday, and that's it. What's that message? Maybe it's to someone going on the field with you. Maybe it's to some high school senior getting ready to start their own college career. What's that message about the journey you've been on?
Just really let it all out. Don't leave nothing else on the field. Because like you said, you never know it's going to be your last time. So play every play like it's your last and let the results fall where they may.
Well, Carl, I really appreciate it. Hopefully next time we talk, I introduce you as Coach Ware.
Yeah, probably.
I appreciate it. Again, that's Carl Ware. I'm Brady Beedon. We'll bring Coach Wheatley back on in a minute here on Weekly with Wheatley. The inaugural Wayne State University Athletics Champion Classic was such a success this past July that we're bringing it back. The second annual Champions Classic will be held Monday, July 28th, 2025 at TPC Michigan in Dearborn. Again, Monday, July 28th of 2025, the date for the second annual Wayne State University Athletics Champions Classic. We welcome back head coach Tyrone Wheatley. And Coach, before we get into anything this Saturday, I think Coach Ware has a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
It does. It does. He is always the guy that has ideas. You know, he's also a coach on the field because he comes back with some really, really good insight on what the offense is doing and what could happen and some change-ups. And so, no, he's an intelligent guy, high IQ player.
Yeah, like I said, hopefully we talk to him as Coach Ware at some point in the future. But let's talk about Saturday, Northern Michigan coming to town, 0-10. And again, you mentioned it in the first segment, you guys are the hunted in this one. They are looking for win number one. They have nothing left to lose. It's burn the boats time for them. What can you tell everyone about Northern Michigan? Because I know they run a little bit of a different style of offense, and they'll come after you defensively.
Well, like Roosevelt, us, and Northern are all kind of same space right now. What that means is we're rebuilding. We're trying to get ourselves caught up to the rest of the conference. And so in doing so, he's in his first year running this new offense, the triple, you know. And right now, they're trying to get the motion going and get it going. But once he gets his people intact there, they'll get this going. But talk about the offense. You know, they're going to come in with these wide splits to put our guys in, you know, in space, put them in jeopardy, right? Read their keys. That's the biggest thing, right? And see a little, see a lot really means a lot in this game because you're going to have guys going with everywhere, down blocks, kicking out, people pulling around the option, the true option. And so our guys have to be real acute on their keys day in and day out. But at the same time, they have to tackle the ball because the ball is going to hit. It's going to come out quick. It's one of those deals where if you take your eyes off, they'll be downhill real quick. And so we have to rally to the ball and tackle it fast. Within the quarterback, like I say, he's going to throw the ball. 83 is an incredible receiver. He gets the ball in space, and they're going to get this thing moving. Defensively, very stout. You know, they're going to be a bend but don't break defense. What I mean by that is they're going to be where they're supposed to be. They're not going to move a lot. They're not going to shift a lot. They're not going to pressure a lot. They're going to be exactly where they're going to be, and they're going to come downhill, and they're going to come after you. You're going to get some plays, or you're going to get some, but they're going to be on you the entire game. This is a hard team to play.
And with it being senior night, obviously a time to honor all the seniors. Some of them have come in, some of them have spent 4 years at Wayne State. What does senior night mean, and what is the message to these seniors that are kind of went through a transition if they've been here the whole time and have helped lay the foundation for hopefully what's to come in the next couple years?
Well, you know, you hate to see these guys go out in the terms that they're going, but they have to understand that they've left a lot with us, right? Like they say, tradition never graduates, and that's what we want to show them in this last game, but also moving into the offseason and going into the next year. And so these guys have been pivotal in making this thing go for us. And what I mean by thing is I can't really put a name on it. It's culture. It's the overall scheme. It's everything. It's everything, and they've done a great job of building it for us and putting it into play.
Now, with that all said, coming off a win, obviously pretty excited last Saturday. It's being senior day. That you have to deal with some distractions, and that's part of growing up as a team. Be able to deal with outside noise when things are going well. When you're being told, "Hey, you should win this game," and come out with the same fervor as you do when you're the underdog and people are writing you off. So where do you go when you're talking about talking about the distractions and trying to keep everything on pace?
Well, that's one thing you talk about, though, right? The distraction. There's always distractions. And we always tell our guys, just like we say, do your job. That's one of the things to just keep your mind and your eyes and focus on your job. Senior day, you're not a senior, don't worry about it, right? Win, don't worry about it. That's why you give them the cues. Do the things it takes to get the win and not worry about the win. If you do all the little things, take care of the ball, don't throw interceptions, don't fumble it, tackle, take takeaways, you'll get the win. So don't worry about the big thing.
So with it being the final game of the season, whether it's home or away, how important is it to get a win in the final game just to have some positive momentum? The last thing everyone remembers when they take a little bit of a break to reset is, hey, we won our last game. we have something to build on going into the offseason. Just in terms of that, how important is this game?
I mean, I think you said it in a nutshell, right? The pendulum. You want it swinging in the win column. You want that momentum going into the offseason, because I already told you, like, some of these young guys are talking about the win and what it takes to get another win and what they have to do to continue this win streak going into the next year in the offseason. So, yes, it's the motivation, right? You can take this win and you can fuel it and spark it and strike a match or whatever you want to do with it, but it's huge going into the offseason with a win.
So I do want to briefly touch on the offseason, because we won't talk in a setting like this for a while. What is the offseason going to look like? And obviously, you're going to have your winter conditioning. You're going to get into spring ball. And the spring game's really the next time when all eyes start to refocus on football. But now that you're going into the second full offseason, how important is it to keep everything moving forward, to take that next step next year?
It's very important. And I think one of the things that, even though the season is over, one of the big things you must do, because you're going to bring in some mid-year guys and then you're going to bring in another group of guys. So you have to continue to strengthen and fortify the culture. This is the time where really the accountability piece really has to take effect in the offseason. You know, I used the terminology last week of the standard, right? If you come into my house, you have to take off your shoes. What is the standard here at Wayne State in our football program? When new people are coming in, what standard are you setting for them? What are you giving them, what they'd have to follow in order for us to win and keep this thing a tradition?
So what are the key areas of emphasis this offseason?
Once again, accountability, right? That's the big thing, because I can say it all I want. And I think when I was watching the Bad Boys 30 for 30, and it's an incredible deal, Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars said, good teams win because coaches hold them accountable. Great teams win when players hold each other accountable. And I love the scene where, they went to Joe Dumars and asked him how much he's going to hold Jordan to. And Jordan comes out in the first half. He has like 20-some points. They come in the locker room and say, hey, man, you got to do what you got to do. And he ends up holding, Jordan to under 30 points. So that's the whole accountability piece. It's a brotherhood. It's really saying, and it goes back to the process. And I just got to keep beating this in, because if you don't do the small things, you will never get to the large, right? You can't go out and block. You can't tackle a whole 4 quarters if you're not strong in the weight room. If you don't go out and do your technique, right? So those are the things that we have to really, really hammer home in offseason.
In this new wave of college football, it's not like it was even 5 years ago where, hey, the season ends, we can start mapping everything out. We know basically who we're going to have and what the situation is going to be for the winner. Now with the transfer portal, that muddies some things up. You're never going to be 100% sure what the personnel is going to be. How do you guys approach that, both with bringing guys in, and naturally there's going to be some losses in every program? When do you guys really settle down and go, okay, this is what our basic plan is, this is who we know we're going to have, and this is how we're attacking the offseason?
Well, not to sound callous, but you want to get to the point of your program where if someone leaves, next man up. And that's what we're building to. We're building the depth, and we're getting there with these young guys and some transfers, and we're going to get to that point. And I think this will be the year where we'll be able to get to that point where, as they say, the cupboards will be full. And so, we're not hurting for anything at any one position. We'll have depth at all positions, not only just depth, meaningful depth. Guys that can play football, that are football smart, that want to be here, that want to do the right things. So, yes, football has changed. The landscape of football, the transfer portal, all these things have changed. But, however, as it changed, so do we as coaches and the staff have to change. And that's why we're saying, we have to have those cupboards full, and we have to get to the point where, yes, people are going to transition, and we just transition.
So I guess my last question will be looking just a little peek ahead after some fans hoping for more this year. I think they're really going to be hoping for more next year. What can Wayne State fans expect after this game gets done Saturday, going into the offseason and going into 2025?
Well, I take a deep breath, and I'm diving right back underwater, going into recruiting trail. So right now, what we call phase 1, which is our mid-year recruits for junior college guys and some high school guys. So we're on a trail for that to get those guys in for January. And then right after that, we're going to go into high school recruiting, which is phase 2 for us. And so we're going to try and hit home and bring in as many high school kids as we possibly can. And then go phase 3, which is our supplemental, like a supplemental draft. After we've gone through spring football, you'll get what you need, and then you'll just say, okay, what's left out there? What are the holes that we need to fill? And that's be our phase 3.
And then hopefully phase 4, step into 2025 and hit the ground running there.
Yes, like Usain Bolt, baby.
Well, Coach, I appreciate it. I want to thank you for coming on all year long. I want to thank Woodbridge Pub for being such gracious hosts. I guess one last question. What's your favorite dish to get when you come here at Woodbridge Pub?
Oh, the shrimp. Shrimp and the salad. I like the Caesar salad.
All right, Coach, I appreciate it. Good luck on Senior Day against Northern Michigan. And I know we'll talk soon, but we won't talk in a matter like this for about 9 months.
It's been fun. It's been really fun.
Yes, it has. He is Coach Tyrone Wheatley. I'm Brady Beedon. Again, Saturday at 1 o'clock, kickoff at Tom Adams Field for the final Wayne State home game. One final time from Woodbridge Pub here in 2024. You've been listening to Weekly with Wheatley.
Michigan First Credit Union is a proud sponsor of Wayne State Athletics. With a custom-built mobile app and 2 branches and 10 ATMs located on or near campus, Michigan First makes banking easy and convenient. And we're proud to serve our communities all across Metro Detroit. Michigan First. Experience banking undefined. For details, visit MichiganFirst.com. Go Warriors!